Guys, welcome to our third week. We're in the Catalyst series. It's very exciting. I hope you guys have been actually enjoying it. Have you guys been enjoying it? Like, have you been getting something out of it? Okay, well, I'm glad. So we're in our third week. This is our third, numero tres. That's terrible, but that's okay. And I don't know if you guys remember, but what's it called? I'm just going to go through a little recap of what we did. So in the first week, Zalzi just shared about this idea of what breaks our heart. So there's something within ourselves, something that maybe God has put on our hearts that actually breaks our heart massively. And then last week, Wes talked about this idea of the cost of the vision, or the cost of the thing that breaks our heart. And today, what we're going to actually be doing is we're going to be focusing around this idea of achieving that vision, that thing that breaks our heart, together. But before we even go into that, before we explore Nehemiah, I actually want to bring up a very special guest. She is actually fantastic. She's an amazing leader. She's got such potential, and I'm very excited to interview her. Can we please welcome Megan Jones to the stage? So, Megan, thank you so much for doing this. Please take a seat. That's all good. So, give us a little introduction of who you are and what you get up to.
Okay, hi guys. Like Jordan said, my name's Megan. I'm 17 years old. I'm still at school. I'm finishing my last year at the moment. My life is basically school and church right now. So I'm involved in the Fuel Youth Group, and I help in the SALT School Holiday Program, and I sometimes do creative-y things here, and I've helped lead with Radiate in the past, so just bits and pieces here and there, really.
That's cool, man. Dude, look, I've known you for a little bit, and I know, especially in this season right now, you're crazy busy, but you're crazy busy for a pretty epic reason. Earlier this year, last year actually, right? You got voted as head girl for Kingsway. Am I right? That's awesome. That is not a small accomplishment. That is awesome. So, being head girl, what's it like being head girl? What are some of your responsibilities? What do you get up to during the week?
Okay. Like Jordan said just before, it's busy. I pretty much have meetings and different events that we organise as a prefect group, and we've got mentoring appointments and setting up chairs. Most of it is behind the scenes stuff, so people kind of only see when I'm up there and doing speeches or whatever, but there's so much more that we do behind the scenes. It's really like the hard slog, isn't it? But yeah, events, meetings, all sorts of things. Yeah.
That's cool, man. So this is not one of my questions, but what's your kind of like favorite part of being head girl? What's your favorite thing?
I have really actually genuinely enjoyed our prefect group this year. I think I've been super blessed to have such an awesome group of people to work with, and they've just made it an absolute dream doing all the stuff that we have to do, but they've made it really fun for me, and I think everyone else would say the same thing.
That's cool.
It's been a major blessing, I think.
Nice, very nice. So if you had a goal, I assume that you guys have some sort of goals as a leadership team and all that kind of stuff. But if you had a goal or have a goal for the end of the year, when your reign comes to an end, what would you have liked to accomplish?
The goal that we set at the start of the year as a group was this idea of a united cohort. I think through high school, we're teenagers, we sort of naturally gravitate towards people and naturally gravitate away from other people. But I think kind of cliques and little groups and stuff have been kind of solidified over our high school journey. So we started the year with quite a fractured group, I guess. And we've been working really hard to just kind of, plant this idea of togetherness, I guess. We're a team, we work as a team, and kind of modelling that for the younger year groups as well. So hopefully when they come up, they haven't made the same mistakes that we've made, and that they're already a united front and can kind of work on different things.
That's cool, man. And you know what? I actually love that so much, because that's exactly what hopefully we're going to be exploring today, in this idea of chasing after that goal or chasing after that vision and actually doing it together. So I love that. So look, obviously, like I just said, we're talking about achieving that vision together. How does your role as a head girl like involve working with others?
So there's me, there's a head boy and a deputy head girl and a deputy head boy. So there's the four of us, and we head up a prefect team of 8 other students with councils. And yeah, so the prefects have their own councils, which are between like 5 and 10 people in each council. So we kind of like oversee that side of things, but also it's kind of our job to be communicating with teachers all the time and getting things ready. If we're going to go out and we're going to do like a sports, I don't know, event or something, it's got to be one of us that's communicating with the sports teacher and being like, oh, we need this gear. Or if we're doing an assembly, we've got to get everything checked over and that kind of thing. So communicating with teachers, and then also all the stuff that we do with the rest of the school. So if we've got middle school peer support, we have groups where Year 13s partner with Year 9s and we sort of do mentoring, and then as well lots of stuff in the primary school as well, like Grandparents' Day and that kind of thing. So sort of just everyone, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, and I love it. And like I've been privy to hearing some of the things that you guys get up to as well, and even with the prefect team and all that kind of stuff. So that's really awesome. So we've got 2 more questions, but I guess one of the things that I really want to ask, because this is something that I'm passionate about, is as a leader, what are some of the things that you're doing to help those that you're leading as head girl and with your prefect team, in order so that they're actually becoming better leaders themselves and actually becoming more like Christ?
Yeah, I think a major thing for us is like modeling what you want to see. So if we're wanting to see a culture shift in our year group, we've got to be actually going out and doing that ourselves. And I think often it's really easy for people to know of you but not actually know the person that you are. So it's kind of also being really open towards people and vulnerable so that people actually know why you're doing the things that you're doing. And I think if I can model that for other people, then I'm kind of helping them in their leadership journey as well, if that makes sense. Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Are you guys inspired? This is awesome, man. My last question is this, because as much as I'm very passionate about like leading others and leading others well so that they're growing, one of the things I'm also passionate about is as who you are as a leader is actually growing as well. So how has being head girl and this entire year actually developed you and challenged you and grown your relationship with God as well as your leadership?
Okay. So when you're stretched really, really thin, you can't always be relying on yourself to make things happen. So if you've got stuff going on in your personal life and then you've got to go and stand up in front of a bunch of people and be like this godly, perfect human, when you don't feel like it, it's, I don't know, you feel a little bit like a hypocrite. It's really hard. So like when you're in those places, it's so important to just be connected with God all the time, because he's the thing that's going to help you, but also what's really going to get through to people. They might not listen to the words that you say, but they're going to like see Jesus in you. So, wait.
Yeah.
So I guess that's been something big for me, is like learning how to lean into God and have him help me out where I really need help sometimes. And then as well, we've been pretty lucky. We have all of the prefects and all the heads and depths, we have mentors, which is quite cool. So we have like a head kind of person in the school who's able to just catch up with us on a weekly basis and like, what are you doing? How's things going? How are you and God? Like spiritual mentoring kind of thing. And I think that's been super beneficial as well.
That's cool. Megan, thank you so much. That is awesome. We actually have a little gift for you as well, because we appreciate you and everything that you do and your leadership. Thank you very much, Megan. Are you guys inspired? Man, this is a 17-year-old girl that is smashing out leadership at school, and it is amazing. So I'm truly grateful. And go speak to her. She's got a lot of wisdom, which is great. But what I want to do is I want to jump into our story now. So to give us context of what we were talking about over the past couple of weeks, That first week, we kind of explored the idea of what breaks our heart. And so Charles actually shared with us this thing that Nehemiah, who we've been following over the past 2-3 weeks, his heart broke. His heart was shattered for the fact that Jerusalem and its walls were in ruins. It wasn't its former glory. It wasn't like what it was when Solomon was king or when David was king, and it was one of the most powerful nations in the world. No, this was a nation that was broken. Okay, and then last week, Wes shared with us this thing of the cost of the vision and actually leading the charge forward. And so what he talked about was the fact that where there is revelation, where there is this vision, where there is this thing that God has placed on our hearts that breaks our hearts, there's a responsibility that comes with that. All right? So with revelation there comes responsibility. Then with that and leading that, there comes this criticism. This criticism that eats away or can eat away at us so hard that we just want to give up. We want to throw in the towel. But we're asked to keep going, so we keep going. And then the last one is the idea of, like, even before the wall can be built, there had to be investigation. Before we can make any sort of impact, before we can move into our community and doing that, anything that involves change, there needs to be some sort of investigation moving forward. Right? And so now we jump into chapter 3. And chapter 3 is where Nehemiah builds the wall. This is it. It's getting done. He's gone through the entire process. It's fantastic. And so I naturally assumed that this chapter would have a plethora of information. That's right, I used plethora. That it would have so much information that I would be speaking here for 2 hours because there was so much and I was so excited. And then I read it. And it is quite literally just a bunch of names. A bunch of names and a bunch of names of the parts of the wall that they built for the entire chapter. I'm not kidding you. If you have a phone right now and you have YouVersion, go check it out. I don't mind. But that's what was in there. It was just a list of names and a list of names of the sections of the wall that they built. But what I counted was there were 46 different people and communities that were named, that were part of the process of building the wall of Jerusalem, to returning it back to its glory days. And we can presume that it was thousands and thousands of people. Okay, these are just some of the people that were involved. There were goldsmiths. There were masters, big households. Masters of households. There were slaves. There were rulers of districts. There were priests. And there were perfume makers. I thought that was quite cool. You had people that you wouldn't expect to build a wall, building this wall. And none of them, as far as I can tell, or as we can tell from this chapter, had any skill whatsoever in building a wall. Let alone a wall to protect a city, let alone a wall to protect God's nation, right? None at all. So this chapter, it seems insignificant. It seems like it's unimportant. And to be honest, if we're reading it, if I was reading it, if I didn't have to speak on it, I'd probably skip over it. I'm just being honest with you. I'll go, list names in the next chapter, right? Because it seems unimportant. It seems insignificant. But I believe that chapter 3 shows us the impressiveness of Nehemiah's leadership. Okay? And we're actually being able to learn something. Because here was a collection of people that bought into the vision that Nehemiah had. The vision of bringing Jerusalem back to its former glory, to rebuild. They had different backgrounds. They had different skill sets. They had different personalities. You had rulers and servants working together with the same zealous motivation, all chasing after one common vision. They were so sold out for the vision of rebuilding the wall and Jerusalem that they were willingly and voluntarily building that wall. Wes wanted to talk about this last week. But when I caught up with him, he actually said that these guys, they would have given up their jobs. They would have given up their time. They would have given up their resources to actually go and build the wall. It cost them something. For some of them, it might have cost them everything. And yet they did. And yet they were so zealously and so for this vision that they gave up everything. Why? And I actually think more importantly, how did Nehemiah get this bunch of people to do that? For some of us, we can't even get our kids or our siblings or our friends or our families working together. It's really difficult. Yeah, there you go, see? We can't even get the teams that maybe some of us that were leading to work together. So how did Nehemiah get a bunch of seemingly not random people, but people that had no skill in building something that needed to be built, and yet built it? Got them working together. How did he get this huge number of people with different backgrounds to come together and achieve a common vision? This is what I think. All right. I believe that Nehemiah understood this. All right. It's this. Oh, well, it's achieving the vision together. But it's the next thing. Yeah, next one. Next one. Next one. Fantastic, this one. It's this, all right? Working together doesn't just mean playing nicely with others. We can do that. I think all of us, if we wanted to, we could put aside our pride, we could put aside our ego, and we can say, okay, I don't really like that person, but I'll work with them. I'll do it. We're kind of doing the thing, so I'll just do it, right? Working together doesn't just mean playing nicely with the people that you're working with. As leaders, as people part of a team, we actually have to empower those around us. We have to delegate responsibility. And we have to, most importantly, trust those that we're working alongside with, those that are around us, to achieve the common vision. And I actually believe that Nehemiah understood this. Okay. Now I can imagine. All right, you're sitting now. I've just told you that chapter 3 is just basically a bunch of names. And you're thinking, Jordan, dude, how did you get this from a bunch of names? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. How did you pull this out of that? How did you do that? Well, I'll be completely honest with you. I didn't pull it out of that. I didn't. Because, it does seem far-fetched, right? What I actually did was I didn't get it from chapter 3. Because this isn't the only example of this that we can find in the Bible. Okay? It's not the only example that we can see of people working together that wasn't just playing nicely, but they were empowering, that they were delegating responsibility, and they were trusting the people around them to achieve this common vision, to achieve this thing that broke their heart. Okay. So if we jump over to the New Testament, which is a couple of hundred years after Nehemiah's story, we actually come across this guy called Jesus. For some of us, we've heard of him. For some of us, we don't really care. That's all right. But we come across Jesus. And taking what we've learned over the past 2 weeks about the things that break our heart and the cost of that vision, we can actually see through this story, what we call the Gospels, there are 4 of them, we actually see this guy called Jesus, and we see the thing that broke his heart. And the thing that broke his heart was the fact that there was broken relationship between people and God, and he was there to restore it. That's the thing that broke his heart. He was there, he came down, he was born, and he was grown up, and he was raised. And for 3 years, that was his task. That was the thing that broke his heart. That was the vision that he had. There was broken relationship, and he wanted to restore it. And then we can actually read what it cost him. Because what it cost him was dying on the cross. Brutal way to die. And he did that because of people of past, of present, and future, i.e. us, the sins. And in saying that, he defeated it once and for all. So we can see that. We can read that, right? And then right at the end, I think this is one of my favorite things. I say that every time, but it is. We come across this thing called the Great Commission. Right? It's the great sending forth. It's the mission for the vision that Jesus had. And in one of these, we can find it in Matthew 28. And this is what it says. It says, "Then Jesus came to them and said, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me.'" I.e., hey, look, I've died, I've now risen, and I've showed myself to you. I have all this power. I have all power over heaven and earth. God has given it to me. Clear? And he continues and he says this, "Therefore," this is the mission, "go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit." And then it continues and it says, "And teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." This is the challenge. This is the mission that Jesus set forth for these 12 people, for the vision, for the thing that broke his heart, which was to bring restoration. Right? He had a collection of followers, just like Nehemiah had. He had a collection of followers with different backgrounds. He had fishermen and he had tax collectors. He had former Pharisees and he had tanners and he had teachers and he had doctors, all working together to achieve the common vision. And here we are today, right? Still on the mission, still working towards that. But what we can actually see throughout is even before Jesus challenges them, we can see Jesus empowering his followers. And actually, in turn, us. If we take the time to read it, we see him empowering us with the way that he walked alongside them, the way that he taught them, the way that he did life with them. And the fact that actually he's walking alongside us as well. We can see Jesus do this. And then through the Great Commission, through this sending forth, through the mission, we see him delegate that responsibility. We see him saying, hey, look, I've done this with you. I've walked alongside you, and I've empowered you, and I've taught you as much as I can. I have to go now. But I'm going to give you this immense responsibility. I'm going to give you this immense responsibility of actually sharing who I am, to teach people and actually carry out this mission for the vision or the thing that broke my heart or breaks my heart, which is restoration, which is a restoration of relationship, right? He delegates that to these 12 people and then now to us. And then he trusts them. I don't know why he would trust them, because it doesn't make any sense, because these people were so ill-equipped. They had no skill, and yet he did. And here we see that working together doesn't just mean playing nicely with others. As a leader, it's empowering. It's delegating that responsibility. And then it's trusting to get that done. What I love about this, genuinely, is whether we have faith, whether we believe or whether we don't, it can actually be applied to our lives. We don't have to believe in order to do something like this, right? But why should we pay attention to something like this? Surely it is actually easier for us to act on the things that break our heart by ourselves, because obviously we know what we want to accomplish, right? We want to accomplish it in this certain way, so we can go about doing it ourselves, and we don't have to worry about leading other people. And if we did it by ourselves, we could actually do a great job because we know what we want, right? So why? Why would we even do something like this? What's the point of it? Why not just do it ourselves? For Nehemiah, it was a little bit obvious, right? He was building a wall. And Wes gave us a measurement of how long the wall was going to be. It would, if he was doing it by himself, he'd probably be here today still doing it, right? Because it's huge. Huge. Makes no sense. So it's a little bit obvious, but surely for someone like Jesus, he could. If we really believe that Jesus was God, and he was all powerful, and he was all knowing, and he could accomplish anything, and he did accomplish everything, surely he could do it by himself. He didn't need us. He didn't need to involve us into the process. Why would he ask for help? Why would he empower and then delegate and then entrust such imperfection for a very perfect and very a perfect plan and a perfect outcome? Why would he do that? It makes no sense whatsoever. He could have done it himself, right? You guys are asking great questions. Seriously, it's very good. We're on fire. Why? I think Paul captures it the best. All right? Paul is this guy that again, Jesus kind of said, I choose you. And things happened, and then he went all across Asia Minor, and he spread churches. He started churches all over the place. He was like the main instigator for the mission, for the vision, right? And he says this in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 19. He says this, and it's the Message version, and I love it. And it says, that's plain enough, isn't it? You're no longer wandering exiles. No longer. This kingdom of faith is now your home country. You're no longer strangers. You're no longer outsiders. You belong here. See, the goal for Nehemiah, okay, was to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and to return the city to its former glory, to bring it back to the glory days of when it was great again, right? God's plan and the ultimate vision for that was to actually return and restore an entire nation's relationship with Him. That was the ultimate goal through the wall, to restore relationship. But Nehemiah knew, and God knew, that this was not something that could be achieved by one person. This was not a lone wolf kind of mission. The ultimate goal of restored relationship and becoming a nation that God intended Israel to be could not be accomplished by one man, i.e. Nehemiah. It could not. It was impossible. I would say the same thing applies to the question of why would Jesus involve us in the mission when he could clearly achieve it himself? Why would he do that? Why would he empower us? Why would he delegate this immense responsibility to us and then trust us when really we can't be trusted? To go and achieve something that was so amazing and so beautiful and so powerful that it could change the world. Why would he trust us with that? Why would he do that? It makes no sense. And I believe it's because of this. He knew that involving us in the mission, that involving us in the process to achieve that common vision, to achieve that ultimate vision of restored relationship with God, okay, can only be accomplished when we are working together, when His creation is working together, when we are doing life alongside each other, when we're making sacrifices for the vision together, when we understand the cost and we say, yes, I will do it. I will be a part of that. This is why the church exists. This is why this community exists. Because this is what we believe. We weren't meant to do life alone. And we weren't meant to grow in our relationship with God alone. For us leaders, because all of us in here are leaders, whether we believe in God or not, whether we have faith or not, when we are empowering others, when we are delegating responsibility, when we are trusting the people that we are doing life alongside with, that we are working alongside with, what we're actually doing is we're not just playing nicely with them. We're not just being nice with them because we have to. What we're doing is we're actually helping them to understand who they are as God's creation. We're helping them understand that they are part of such a big picture. And that big picture involves relationship with God. Not only that, we're helping them become who they're supposed to be. We're helping them develop. And this is why I love what Megan was sharing about how in her life, when she is modeling that relationship with God, she's hoping that the people that she's working alongside with, that she's leading with, will be watching that and seeing that and going, wow, I want something like that. That inspires me to actually go and start this. I want to do that. And for each and every single one of us here, we have that potential to do that. Because all of us here, we're leaders in each and our own capacity. So don't for a second believe that this responsibility is just for someone that gets paid to be a leader. This is for us as well. Like we saw with Nehemiah, he was a cupbearer. He had to drink something, and if it was poison, he'd die. He was a cupbearer. And yet here he was leading people to restore a nation. Jesus entrusted his mission, his most precious mission, to us as people, imperfect. It's amazing. So it doesn't matter wherever your context might be. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you are just in school. It doesn't matter if you are a leader of an organization and you're paid to be there. It doesn't matter if you are leading at home as a stay-at-home parent or as a young parent. It doesn't matter if you're actually working in a team already and you're being led by someone already. We can be doing this. We can be leading. We can not only be playing nicely with others, we can be empowering people, and we can be delegating responsibility, and we can be trusting others to achieve that vision. We all have the potential and the opportunity to achieve the vision. Right? When we are empowering others, when we're delegating that responsibility, and when we're trusting them, when we're doing life alongside them, when we are working alongside them, when we're journeying alongside them. And hopefully through that, hopefully, they get to see your relationship with God. And they go, wow, I love that. I want some of that. That's great. How? Where do I start? What do I do? Okay, cool. Right? Because when we're doing that, we're actually helping them become who they were created to be. This amazing creation. So I want to challenge us, and this is for all of us, myself included. All of us in our different contexts of leadership. Who can we identify in our lives? Who is it in school? Who is it in our workplace? Who is it in our friend group that we can identify, that we can actually empower? What does empowering look like? Who can I empower? Well, what does it look like? Well, it looks like walking alongside them. It looks like maybe teaching them or mentoring them. Maybe it's just actually just doing life with them. Maybe it's in a moment when they are most defeated. It isn't about giving them a piece of advice or saying maybe you should have done it that way. Maybe it is actually just sitting on a chair or 2 chairs, staring at the floor, doing absolutely nothing. So who can I empower? And actually what we could be doing is this. We could be asking this question. How am I setting them up to win? What am I doing? Am I empowering them in such a way that if I was to give them some sort of responsibility, or if they were to go on by themselves and do life and be great, am I setting them up to win? With whatever they do, are they going to come out a winner? Am I setting them up to win? The second thing is this. It says this. Who can I delegate responsibility to? Maybe it's the same person that we've identified of who we can empower. Maybe it's someone different. Maybe it's a kid that we're mentoring, or maybe if you have kids, it's saying, hey, look, who am I going to delegate this to, right? But you got to understand that delegating responsibility isn't just about handing off things that you don't want to do. Don't do that. For example, don't give your kids your taxes to do, because it will not end well, right? Don't get them to drop off your other kids at school, because it won't end well. Delegating responsibility isn't just about handing off or palming off the things that we don't want to do, right? Delegating responsibility is actually identifying the gifts and the talents that a person has, their strengths and weaknesses, and understanding that, and then saying, hey, look, I actually believe that you can do this way better than I can. So here, run with it. Let me walk alongside you. Let me empower you in a way that I'm setting you up to win. But you take responsibility of this. You do it because I see that you can. And again, we can be asking that question, how can we, next slide, how am I setting them up to win? How am I setting them up to win with the responsibility that I'm handing them off or passing to them? And then the last one is this, and it's probably the most difficult. But how can I learn to trust? How can I learn to trust the people that I am empowering, the people that I am delegating responsibility to achieve the common vision? How can I trust my partner or my spouse to bring up our kids in a way that is making them fantastic, that they're becoming great citizens? That's a vision for what you want your kids to be, right? How can I trust that? Well, hey, how can we empower? How can we delegate? How can I learn to trust? And to be honest, I actually believe that we can still learn from chapter 3 of Nehemiah along this. Because in this chapter that seems so insignificant, we can see the trust that Nehemiah has with the people that he's working alongside with. We can see that he trusts the people to achieve the common vision because they bought so much into it. This mishmash of people would not have been building the wall all in one way. They would have had their own ideas. They might have designed parts of the gate to look a bit differently. One person has this door handle, the other person has something else. I don't know. Maybe they designed it in a way where it looks a little bit different, right? In the book, there's a gate called the Dung Gate. I'm sure we can use our imagination. Maybe they are they're using resources in a way that is so much more effective than what was taught them. And actually, they've got a surplus of things, and yet the wall is still strong. They might have led it differently. They might have led a little bit differently. And yet they still achieved the common vision, right? In our context, when we are empowering those that we are leading and setting them up to win, when we are delegating responsibility that utilizes their strengths and weaknesses and talents, then trusting them to achieve the common vision comes so much easier to us. It comes easier to us. But it's still something that we need to learn. But why? Why should we even do this? Why should we even pick up this challenge, right? In chapter 6, I'm not going to go in detail, but it actually gives the number of days that it took to complete the wall. It took 52 days. 52. That's like just over like 2.5 months. Yeah. No, less. Anyway, sorry. Like a month and a half. Sorry. 52 days for a wall that was huge, that had to protect an entire nation to be built and made strong. Okay? And this would not have been possible if it was just Nehemiah working on the thing that broke his heart. Because there were so many people that bought into the vision, because those same people understood that what it would cost them, right? Because they were being led in a way that they were feeling empowered, that they could do it. They achieved this vision. They completed it. They were not only completed, they not only completed the wall in such a short amount of time, but when the wall was completed, it says in chapter 6 that Israel's enemies were intimidated by them. And so they got even angrier because a bunch of people that couldn't build a wall built a wall. And it was strong. And it was intimidating. This is what happened. I don't believe that we were created by God, okay, to have our hearts break over something and then us be the only ones with that burden. I don't think we were created that way. To be the only one that feels like they have been tasked with something so heavy on their heart, and I am the only one that feels that way. No one understands how I feel. I don't think so. I don't think God created that way or created us that way. We were created to work together. We were actually created to achieve a vision together. The burdens and the things that break our hearts weren't created to be experienced and to be dealt with alone. I believe that we were created so that we can come together, so that we can work together on the things that break our hearts. Because imagine this, all right? Imagine if every organization in the world that wanted to end poverty decided to come together. I'm taking this as an example. Decided to come together for one common vision to end poverty, to put aside all differences, that every single organization that was part of that, their hearts broke for the people that were living underneath the poverty line, that they would come together. Imagine the impact that would have. I'm sure we could end poverty in 52 days if we tried. Imagine if every single person in this building, all right, decided to say, you know what? I'm in. I want to get involved. And I see this community or I see this organization making a massive difference. You know what? I know what it's going to cost me. I know that it's going to take my time. It's going to take maybe my finances. I am in. Whatever the cost, I am in. Imagine the impact that could have on our community. Imagine the difference that it could make. What would that look like, right? Wouldn't that be great? For some of us here, that's what we're thinking. And then we think this, well, you know what, actually that's great. I want to, but I'm not going to. I'm not actually, you know what? The reason why is because I'm not in the right place. Simple. I'm not in the right place financially. I'm actually not even in the right place in my walk in life, you know. And you know what? I'm actually not even in the right place in my walk in faith. I don't even have faith. How can I be a part of something like this? How can I be a part of an organization that is trying to make an impact? We do this, right? I do this. For some of us in this room right now, this is our excuse. Financially, I can't do anything. I can't. I've got so many other responsibilities and this and this and this and this and this. I'm broke. I understand. I used to be a student, right? Financially, we can't. Maybe it's in my walk of life, you know what, I'm still very much in the desert. Or, you know what, I'm actually not in the best place, like in a lot of different areas. I can't make an impact. I can't do that. In my walk of faith, I don't even have faith. It's non-existent. How can I be a part of this community, have no faith, and make an impact? If God can use an entire nation who were taken from their land because they continued to break relationship with God, and then use those same people to restore relationship where they were, with what they were doing, with where they were in their walks in life, with their faith, then He can use you too. If God can use 12 men, okay, who had absolutely no skill whatsoever, who continuously doubted Him, who had very little in the terms of finance and a direction in life, if God can use them to start a movement that has lasted 2,000 years so far, then wherever we might be, God can use that too. So, why are we saying that we can't do it? Why are we saying that we can't be a part of something that is making an impact? Imagine if every person in this room said yes and got together. Imagine the impact that we can make in this community. I have a lot of conversations sometimes at Salt with parents. One of the things they say is, man, we love Salt, okay? Because you guys make such a big impact in our community. We love it. We love sending our kids here. Oh, it's so great. Love hearing that. Imagine if every single one of us in this room said, you know what, when Salt comes around, I'm going to get involved. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to get involved. And instead of having 80 kids, which is a big number of kids, we have 400 kids, all enjoying themselves, all growing. I know, some of you are freaking out. I'm freaking out. My heart's beating, right? All these kids coming together and realizing that they were created in such a beautiful way, that they are amazing, that they are so loved, and that there is a God that loves them so unconditionally. Imagine if every one of us in this room decided to say, yes, okay, I'm going to do it. Despite where I am, despite what I'm doing, despite my finances, despite all these different excuses, I will say yes, and I will be a part of it. We have the opportunity to come together, okay, to work together. We have the opportunity to achieve this vision that is beautiful and that is powerful and that can change the world. So why don't we? Right? Let me pray for us. Dear God, I just want to first and foremost thank you. You're a God that loves us so unconditionally. You're a God that can use us in wherever we are in our walk in life, wherever we may be in our faith, wherever we may be in our finances, wherever we may be just in life. And that's amazing. Lord, I just want to thank you for actually Nehemiah. Thank you for the fact that we can actually learn from this man of history. We can look back and we can take these principles and we can hopefully apply it to our life. God, I just actually also want to pray that you give us strength. That you give us the strength to step out of this place that we're saying that we can't make an impact, we can't do anything, we can't do it. And actually step into this place of saying, hey, look, I know that I can't, but I'm going to. Lord, I just pray that you be with us. Help us to understand that working together isn't just about playing nicely. That it involves empowering people. That it involves delegating that responsibility. And that it involves trusting them to achieve this vision that you have set forth. Lord, let us come together. Let's get together as a community so that we can make a huge impact for you and for kingdom. In Jesus' name,